Scrolling through dreamlike images of boat life, it is easy to believe swapping a house for a sailboat means instant freedom and lower bills. But what if the brutal reality is far less romantic? Most liveaboards juggle 150 square feet of space, $700 a month in mortgage, and relentless upkeep, while homeowners get 3 times the space but pay a heavier mortgage. So which is truly the better deal? And what hidden costs can sink your plans before you even cast off? A liveaboard boat rarely offers more than 150 to 400 square feet of interior space, sometimes less than a studio apartment. For many, that means a main cabin barely wide enough for 2 people to pass each other sideways, bunks pressed against hull walls, and a narrow galley where every meal feels like a puzzle. By comparison, the average American house stretches to about 2,000 square feet, with separate bedrooms, full-sized appliances, closets, and storage for hobbies or seasonal gear. On a boat, every item has to earn its keep, and clutter piles up quickly. There is no attic or garage to hide extra tools, no basement for boxes of keepsakes. Even groceries become an exercise in logistics, hauling bags down a swaying dock, then finding creative ways to fit a week's worth of food into a fridge the size of a hotel minibar. Simple comforts like standing upright everywhere, stretching out on a sofa, or closing a door for privacy become rare luxuries. Dampness is a constant companion, especially in colder climates, where condensation forms on every surface, and keeping bedding dry can turn into a daily battle. For families or couples, privacy often means ducking behind a thin curtain or stepping outside, weather permitting. The reality of boat life is learning to adapt to tight quarters, to embrace minimalism, not as a trend, but as a necessity. This physical constraint shapes every aspect of daily living, and over time, the lack of space can amplify the stress of routine chores and ongoing maintenance. A used liveaboard sailboat often changes hands for $50,000 to $100,000, a fraction of what it takes to buy a house in most U.S. cities. The average single-family home now runs between $300,000 and $500,000, with down payments and closing costs stacking up before the first night's sleep. For many, the low sticker price of a boat is what draws them in, promising waterfront living at a cost that seems almost too good to be true. But the financial reality starts to shift the moment the keys are handed over. Monthly outflows on a boat and a house look different on paper, but both demand steady cash. A marina slip for a 35-foot sailboat can run anywhere from $700 to $1,200 a month, depending on location and amenities. That covers the right to tie up, basic utilities, and sometimes little more. Insurance for a boat adds another $100 to $300 a month, and even the most frugal liveaboards face fees for pump-outs, shore power, and occasional haul-outs. Compare that to a typical mortgage payment of $1,500 to $2,500 a month, plus property taxes, insurance, and utilities, and the gap narrows fast. A financial planner puts it plainly. A boat's entry price is lower, but the cash burn does not stop. You are not building equity, just paying for the privilege to stay afloat. The numbers suggest that while a boat may cost less up front, the monthly commitment is relentless. For anyone expecting a bargain, the math can be sobering. The true cost of entry is only the beginning. Staying afloat is another story entirely. A marine surveyor puts it bluntly: a boat demands attention every single week, or you will pay for it later. Maintenance is not a side note, it is the center of boat ownership. Industry guides and seasoned liveaboards point to the 10 to 20% rule. Expect to spend at least 10% of your boat's value each year just to keep it seaworthy. For a $75,000 sailboat, that means setting aside $7,500 or more annually, not for upgrades, but to keep systems from failing. Routine upkeep alone, bottom cleaning, zinc replacement, oil changes, rigging checks, soaks up between 60 to 120 hours of labor every year. That is more than a full week of labor, often on hands and knees in cramped, damp spaces. Saltwater accelerates the clock on everything. Corrosion eats through metal fittings, sun bakes the deck, and constant motion loosens hardware that would last decades in a house. Annual haul-outs, bottom paint, and diver cleanings are non-negotiable. Skip a season, and barnacles or blisters can turn a manageable job into a repair that can cost 5 figures. Engine maintenance is not optional. Neglect a cooling hose or impeller, and a minor leak can become a catastrophic failure overnight. Every system, including plumbing, electrical, and heating, demands regular checks because a small oversight can sink the entire vessel. Unlike a house, where deferred work might mean a leaky faucet or faded paint, on a boat, neglect can destroy value and safety in a single season. The surveyor's warning is clear. The real cost of boat life is not just money, it is the relentless year-round work required to keep your home afloat. A winter storm can turn a floating home into a prison. When winter arrives, many live-aboard boats must be hauled out for storage or intensive winterization. That means draining water systems, packing away electronics, and sometimes moving ashore for months at a time. In northern climates, heating a fiberglass hull is a losing battle against condensation and cold. Even in milder regions, a sudden cold snap or heavy rain can force days spent huddled under blankets, with every hatch sealed and a dehumidifier running non-stop. Mobility, once celebrated as a benefit, often becomes a challenge. Boarding a boat means crossing docks slick with ice or rain, then climbing down a steep companionway ladder, sometimes while juggling groceries or laundry. For older adults or anyone with mobility issues, these daily maneuvers carry real risk. A single slip on a damp step can mean weeks of recovery, far from the nearest emergency room. Unlike a house, there is no easy way to adapt a sailboat for aging in place. Social life also takes a hit. Marinas fill with a shifting cast of neighbors, many staying only for a season or two. Friendships can be fleeting, and the sense of community is fragile. Families with children face added hurdles. Few marinas welcome kids, and space for play is limited to the length of the dock. Over time, the combination of weather dependency, physical strain, and social drift wears down even the most enthusiastic liveaboards. For many, these pressures, unseen in glossy photos, become the real cost of life afloat. Boats and houses take opposite paths when it comes to value. A typical liveaboard sailboat can lose 15 to 30% of its value within the first 5 years. Even with careful upkeep, most boats drop steadily, and often are worth half their original price after a decade. By contrast, the average American home has seen values rise by about 3 to 5% per year over the last decade, building equity for its owners. When it is time to move on, selling a house usually takes 2 to 3 months in a healthy market. Boats are a different story. Listings for used liveaboard sailboats can linger for 12 to 18 months, with sellers forced to cut prices by 20% or more if surveys turn up issues. One financial planner summarizes the difference this way: a house is an investment. A boat is a lifestyle expense. Liquidity is not guaranteed. Mark and Elena spent 7 years living aboard a 38-foot sailboat, investing $120,000 between purchase, upgrades, and repairs. When they sold the boat, it lingered on the market for 9 months before fetching $65,000, nearly half their total outlay. James, a solo sailor in the UK, saw a similar pattern. He spent 5 years and £36,000, but only recovered £21,000 when the boat sold after 1 year on the market. Both describe boat life as rewarding, but physically and financially demanding. This is especially true as health or work needs change. Before choosing life on the water, ask yourself these questions. Can you handle ongoing repairs and tight quarters? Are you prepared for depreciation and slow resale? Will the lifestyle fit your long-term health and financial needs? Honest self-assessment matters more than any dream. Right now, over 50% of first-time liveaboards return to land within 5 years, citing hidden costs and health realities. Neither lifestyle guarantees freedom or security, only trade-offs. In a world chasing escape, the real challenge is not choosing a vessel. It is building a life you can truly sustain. Share your thoughts below.